We're gonna jump into map number 1, ladies and gentlemen. The game is live and starting to the bottom of the map on Polar Night. Game number 1 in the best of 5 series. We have the Terran player for Team Millennium. It is ForGG. Yesterday with an incredible showing in the group stages. And he's going up against his Zerg opponent today. Starting to the top, it is the Tyrant for Evil Genius. We have Jaedong, one of the most high-profile players in Starcraft 2 these days. And especially in the last year, he was finally able to win a major tournament. But even before that, he finished 2nd place 5 times in a row. Absolutely incredible results for him. Can he perform another tournament victory here, or will ForGG be the one player to beat him in the tournament here at the Aces RG in 2014?
It would be one of ForGG's biggest high-profile kills, as he has done well at events, but did he actually win a tournament of his own? ForGG. I know that...
He did really well at the first season of WCS and went to Korea, but there he couldn't really perform on the same level and wasn't able to go to the final round, where we then saw finally the Protoss players doing really well. So I really don't think that he has the results on the same level as Jaedong just yet.
That's right. In WCS Season 1 in 2013, he got top 4 in... Yeah, he got top 4, but he got stopped by Stefano. And the final game of ForGG was... interesting to say the least. It was on Polar Night. It was on an icy map, not Polar Night, and he was doing really well. And it looked like he was about to close the series against Stefano when suddenly his own Widowmines decided to turn against him. 5 explosions against Stefano's units exploded on his own medivacs as well, and he lost his entire army in the blink of an eye. A haunting moment, and since then we haven't seen as high placements from him. But now he's looked stronger than ever. Is looking maybe to make a dent in Jaedong's record.
And so far, ForGG in the tournament played only 2 Zerg players in best of 5s. He was going up against, of course, Snoot and also against Red, and he didn't drop a single map there. Jaedong is definitely a player on a different level. He's a very high-profile player that is especially good in the matchup here. But this would be actually a first map loss for ForGG. So far in the tournament, he hasn't suffered a single loss at the hands of a Zerg player. And he has said in the interviews, as you already pointed out, Grubby, that he kind of feels he figured the matchup out and that he finally has a good grasp on what exactly he has to do there. And one of his biggest weapons in the arsenal of the Terran player was his multitasking. His medivac, something that I talked with Red about earlier, and he said it's just so difficult to really keep track of them to make sure that he doesn't get his kills in. But Jaedong is someone who has faced very strong opponents, Terran opponents especially, in the past, and we are going to see if ForGG can really make the same style work against Jaedong that he used against players like Snoot and Red. So far, it's just a little bit of Reaper harass that we see from the Terran player, and Jaedong, of course, starting things off with a hatch first, getting gas for the speed with the Zerglings, is just trying to keep that Reaper at bay, and actually not even a single Zergling kill on the Reaper, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's very nicely done by Jaedong. You make those Zerglings not with the hopes of killing the Reaper usually, but just tanking shots that would otherwise go to the Queen or the drones. And if you can keep all the Zerglings alive, well, that's something you have for later. Save a penny and have a penny later. Now, one of the things that I find so interesting about Jaedong is, of course, you could write books about him. There's a lot of interesting things about him from his legendary Brood War past. And oh my god, both Reapers go down. That's a great win for Jaedong. But just to continue my thought, one of the most interesting things is he watches foreign Zergs a lot. He was a self-professed big fan of Stefano, yeah, a great innovator of the game and of the TVZ and the PVZ matchup. So he watches Stefano and he learns from him, from creep spread to strategies and so forth. But then he brings his strong Korean training regime background and brings his strong mechanics into the game and his will to always dominate all life, kind of like Sauron. And those 2 skills combined make him a great fusion player and make him a complete star player, completely championship winning material.
Yeah, it's definitely true. He's very, very flexible in the matchups and adapting his style towards his opponent. Right now, what he has to deal with is pretty standard. It's what we usually see from a Terran player in the matchup, just trying to dominate the map in the early stages with the Hellions. And of course, he would love to use those Reapers too, but Jaedong already put an end to that right away. And you want to really keep that creep spread back as much as you can. And against players like Snoot, ForGG could really make that work. And it helped him later on. Since once the medevac's out, what you usually try to do with your bio army is you move out, you move on onto creep, you try to take down creep tumors, and if you can, snipe a queen or two and always put pressure on the peripheral bases of the Zerg player. And if you are able, with the early Hellions and a few Reapers, to keep the creep spread low, then it's very, very easy for you to apply a lot of pressure, and it's so difficult for a Zerg to stop. But Jaedong is already on the way to just spread the creep as far as he can and to give himself that bit of a safety net that he will then have in the mid game.
Yeah, the early little benefits here went to Jaedong, and those moments are actually not very important maybe in the large scheme of things, but when you add them all together, they keep snowballing a little bit. And then let's think about the effect of the mentality here. He just lost another Hellion. And these kind of things, they're like, yeah, a normal game would be hard against Jaedong on equal footing. Losing these things, is everything going poorly for me? And sometimes someone's mentality is already being shaped in these little moments. And we can say that the benefits here went to Jaedong already.
ForGG on the, oh my god, a little bit of a mistake here with the supply depots, not even raising the ones on the top of the wall. And he has a huge problem right now, already losing Marines and a few of the Lings in the main base, immediately targeting down the SCDs. So ForGG for a second, just a little bit of inattentiveness, and he's losing now a couple of workers in the main base. 8 lost in total already, another one going down. Jaedong with a really nice poke here and doing a lot more damage than he was expecting. ForGG in the early game got away with his third command center, which is kind of standard in the matchup right now, but this is definitely something that he doesn't anticipate, the Terran player that is. He's trying to make the Hellions work for now, but so far Jaedong doing an incredible job at keeping his own worker force alive.
Look at that reaction time. He didn't lose a single drone in the initial pull, and again a Hellion went down. Now these Hellions are stuck. He killed one single drone, and he's probably gonna lose them all cheaply. Jaedong is making some great trades. 9 Zerglings for 9 SCVs? Sure, I'll take it anytime.
At the same time now the Hellions still continuing to put pressure on those Lings, but he has to be careful. One moment where he doesn't pay attention to the position of the Hellions and he might lose all of them with a quick surround here. Of course, Jaedong going into the Spire build, who wants to go for Ling Muta Baneling. The Hellions still doing a lot of damage here, getting really nice shots off. Nice unit control by ForGG, but in the end, he doesn't really have the Hellion numbers. Or does he? He's actually going to go to kill all of those Lings if he gets another 1 or 2 shots off.
I think the Lings will eventually win.
Yeah. Ring around the rosy here, it's the king of the hill. 1 Zergling is the final victor of the battle. But Jaedong already heading into +2/+2, whereas ForGG is about to finish his 1/1 upgrades. The armory lined up with this to start the next set. Of course, he has his third base already on the low ground to start the mining from the third mineral line here. And as we are in the game right now, it looks really like Jaedong is able to just here in the early game get this momentum going for himself. But now we have the first Medivacs in the mix. And this is the time where Jaedong really started to dominate every other Zerg player that he played so far. How is Jaedong going to react to this?
Yeah, ForGG taking, of course, that typical forward expansion, the staging ground of all the mischief that he will likely try to cause to his opponent. And easier to defend while still moving into attack. Defend is something that he has to do now. Very wisely, he made a bunker, and they will take care of these Zerglings right away.
It was really important for him to not take any losses there, and the bunker already in position is going to keep 1 or 2 Marines, and then it's going to help him. Of course, now the Widow Mine production has already started so that he can use those with the bio units. It's still one of the things that a lot of Terran players prefer over using tanks, since first of all the Widow Mines are able to target air, and also they are much more mobile than a siege tank is. You don't have to babysit them the entire time. And here we go, straight onto the creep. The scans already dropped, taking down all of the creep tumors. Really well done by the Terran player. No Mutalisks, or not a lot of Mutalisks in the game just yet. So you always have the option of just moving back with the Medivacs. But for now, it looks like ForGG is here to stay. The Widow Mine shots going off, and at the same time, the Terran player moving back, trying to snipe as many of the Banelings as he can. Only Zerglings and a few of the Mutalisks are left here, but a lot of Marines still in the picture. It's about the Medivacs now, and that's exactly what Jaedong tries to target down immediately. Those so expensive units. But for now, the Terran player able to just sustain his army size.
Yeah, and in the meantime, ForGG is forgetting to keep a hold of his upgrades.
Yeah.
Against Snoot, he was always ahead, or at least in equal timing of upgrades. He's forgotten to start them. He's got the E-base and armory ready, but he's not actually starting them yet, so he's gonna fall behind.
It's definitely a big problem, or will be a problem later on, and now he's losing even more Medivacs, but the Marines are coming through, trying to take down a few of those Mutalisks. The Banelings trying to go for the rescue here, but ForGG immediately with the snipes, taking 2 of them down. And you're so right, he has to start these upgrades. He actually cancelled his armor upgrade now and started the +2 attack upgrade here. He needs to really keep track on those, because right now Jaedong is pulling ahead. He's already on 2-2. Here come the double upgrades for the Terran player. Jaedong doesn't have the infestation just yet. So he's not going into Hive. He will be stuck on 2-2 for quite some time. That gives ForGG some time to really catch up. But for now, the Zerg player has this really dominant position. But it's ForGG that moves out and tries to put some pressure onto that third base of his opponent.
Oh, the supply depot is lowered again. The Zerglings are gonna get in and have their way here with the SCVs. At the same time, great coordination. Jaedong moves in, takes down 2 medivacs, and gets a decent trade with his Banelings against the bio.
Yeah, but it was really well done by ForGG actually. He targeted well with the Widow Mines, and also he used one of the Marauders at the front to take a bit of the Baneling damage. So the Marines, most of them were safe. He didn't lose as many as Jaedong was hoping for, and this still allows him to just start in and do a bit of just pushing against this third base, and Jaedong needs to defend it. He's moving in again, Ling Muta Baneling on the way. The Banelings, they keep rolling, but nice blitz by the Terran player, and so many Marines are left. The Widow Mines getting their shots off, and now the Mutalisks are completely exposed, only a few units still on the ground. And here comes the Terran player once again with another team moving in and taking down Mutalist after Mutalist. Jaedong is dropping in supply, and ForGG having a great position here, but he needs to move back since the reinforcements for Jaedong, at least for now, force a pickup of the Marines.
And he was just fighting with all his Mutalisks straight up against the Marines. It almost seems like he wasn't doing something else, or he thought that was okay, or he kind of gave up already. I'm not quite sure, but this is going really well for ForGG.
Yeah.
All the Mutalisks got cleared up, and those are very expensive units to replace.
And now think about what would have happened here. ForGG wouldn't have dropped the ball earlier with this upgrades if he would have gone straight for the 2-2, because right now he's fighting at a disadvantage in the upgrade count. If he would be on the same upgrades as Jaedong, that fight would have ended even more in his favor. So a great fight there for ForGG, and Jaedong has to be so careful. He's falling behind in the overall supply, and especially in the army supply. ForGG is ahead of him with 86 army supply against 62, moving in once again. The Zerglings already have a lot of problems there, just staying alive against the Marines, and the Bioforce is now going straight for that third base. Jaedong has a fourth behind it, but he is gonna lose one of his hatchers, and ForGG is putting so much more pressure onto the Evil Genius, and it really looks like ForGG can do it again.
Yeah, with a 40 supply lead here, taking down this base, Jaedong is losing critical resources in a game that was already looking quite bad for him. Baneling's trying to roll in here, trying to do their dirty work, but they won't be able to take down enough Marines. ForGG takes the first map in the series.
GG! And the Terran player, once again victorious against Zerg, really having a very good grasp on the matchup here. I'm very impressed at how he plays that. And Jaedong, you know, at the beginning, it looked really good for him. The first engagements, they worked in his favor. He shut down the Reapers right away. The Hellions didn't accomplish too much, got the upgrades out. Yeah. But then a couple of those engagements where ForGG just always, he moved back the Marines. He spread them out. The Banelings didn't get the connects. And then suddenly the ground was gone. Only Mutalisks left. Still Marines survived. And that was really when Jaedong lost way too much, especially that Mutalisk flock at the end. He couldn't afford to lose this.